There's something about hotels that feels off. Maybe it's the recycled air, the 2 white sheets, or the knowledge that someone else slept in that exact bed just hours before you did. Or maybe it's the fact that hotels are places of transition, where strangers cross paths for a night and then vanish. I go to a public university in California. It's part of the UC system, but mine's a smaller campus, not as wild as UCLA or Santa Barbara. But every now and then, students from my school make trips to bigger campuses for events like Deltopia or Cal Day, massive college parties that attract people from all over the state. A few months ago, some friends and I made one such trip. The plan was simple: crash in a hotel for the weekend, party, and drive back. But what we didn't expect was that our hotel stays, spread across 3 different weekends, 3 different cities, and 3 very different hotels, would leave us with scars we'd never forget. These aren't ghost stories. These are true events that happened to me and my close circle of friends. We were just college kids looking to have fun. What we found instead were rooms that held secrets, some human, some not quite. Here are 3 true stories from 3 different hotel stays that still keep me up at night. We were on a road trip down to Joshua Tree for a camping weekend. It was too late to drive all the way, so we decided to crash at a dingy roadside motel in Bakersfield called Budget Inn. It was the cheapest option. $45 a night, split between 4 of us. Should have been a red flag right there. The receptionist barely spoke, just handed us an old metal key with a faded tag that said Room 103. The place smelled like bleach and cigarettes. When we stepped into the room, we saw why. It looked like someone had tried to clean something, but not very well. The bathroom mirror was cracked in the corner. There was a faint, pinkish hue in the grout between the tiles. But it was late. We were exhausted. So we ordered some Jack in the Box and passed out. Around 2 a.m., I woke up to what I thought was the TV turning on. But it wasn't. It was the sound of static coming from the bathroom. Confused, I got up and slowly pushed open the bathroom door. The mirror was fogged up, even though no one had used the shower. That's when I noticed something strange. There were handprints on the mirror, but they weren't like someone had placed their hand on the glass. They were inside the mirror, like the marks were between the glass layers. I called my friend Lexi over. She thought I was messing with her until we both watched, no joke, as a new smudge appeared, like a finger being dragged inside the mirror. We screamed, woke everyone up, and turned every light on in the room. That's when Jacob, our most level-headed friend, tried to unscrew the mirror. He thought maybe it was behind the mirror was a hole in the drywall, a hole big enough for someone to look through, a hole that had fresh cigarette butts and an old hoodie stuffed into it. We called the front desk in a panic. The receptionist showed up, and his face went white the second he saw the wall. "I told them not to rent out this room," he muttered. "We boarded this up last year." He wouldn't explain anything else. We grabbed our stuff and left immediately. None of us slept that night. A few weeks later, out of morbid curiosity, I searched up Budget Inn Bakersfield Room 103 on Reddit. One thread, 3 comments. One said, "Stayed there in 2022, woke up to the feeling of being watched. The next morning, my girlfriend swore she saw someone's eye behind the mirror. That was the last time I stayed at a motel without checking the walls." This one happened during Deltopia in Santa Barbara. We didn't want to stay in Isla Vista because it was chaos, so we booked 2 rooms at the Riverside Grand, 10 minutes away. It looked fancy, historic. One of those old hotels that feels more like a museum. The guy at the front desk gave us a weird look when we said we were in room 702 and 703. "Just you 4?" he asked. We said yeah. He nodded slowly, like he didn't believe us. Anyway, first night went great. No issues. But on the second night, around 3:30 a.m., we heard laughing. Not party laughter. Not someone had too much wine laughter. This was slow, deliberate, and way too close. It was coming from the hallway. I opened the door a crack and peeked out. Nothing. 10 minutes later, it came again, this time right outside our door. We all heard it. Jacob, who had his phone out, whispered, "Bro, look at this." He pulled up a voice recording app. It was still running from earlier in the night. He scrolled back and played it. And we heard the laugh again, but clearer. It sounded like an old woman. No words, just laughing. Here's the kicker. None of us had heard her in person that first time, but she was already laughing hours before we noticed. Things escalated the next night. We were packing up when Lexi noticed that room 702 had its bathroom lights on. She walked in to turn it off and came out pale as a sheet. "The shower's wet," she said, like someone just used it. None of us had used it. We'd all been in 703. Then a knock on our room door. Software 2 knocks. Then silence. We stood frozen. Another knock. But this time, it was on the bathroom door. We booked it out of there and spent the last few hours in the lobby until checkout. We told the front desk guy what happened. He leaned in and said, "You're not the first to say that. That floor's been funny. Room 702 used to be connected to 703 before we sealed it off. A long time ago, an old woman died in the shower. Her family didn't find her for 4 days. She was there alone, laughing at the TV. We looked at each other and just walked out. I don't care how expensive or historic the hotel is, never trust the 7th floor." This was supposed to be a solo trip. I was burnt out from finals and just wanted a quiet weekend in the mountains. Evergreen Lodge had good reviews. It was peaceful, remote. Room 11 overlooked the lake. The first night was quiet. A little too quiet. I woke up around 3:12 a.m. to the room phone ringing. Yes, the landline. I didn't even know those things still worked. Half asleep, I answered. A woman's voice whispered, "Room 11." Then she hung up. I sat there confused. I hadn't called for anything. Why would the front desk call just to say my room number? I tried calling them back. No answer. Next morning, I went to the office to ask. The receptionist said they never made a call to room 11, and I was the only guest checked in that night. I asked if maybe a staff member did it. He shook his head. There's no night staff. Phones can't dial between rooms. I tried to shrug it off. Maybe a glitch. Maybe a prank. Second night, it happened again. Same time. 3:12 a.m. This time, the voice said, "I saw you sleeping." Then laughter. Not loud. Just wrong. I yanked the phone out of the wall. Next morning, my room had a "Do Not Disturb" tag hanging on the doorknob. I hadn't put it there. But the thing that truly scared me. When I packed up and went to leave, I passed by room 12, the one next door. It was bricked over, like a fake room. No knob, no number, just wall. I asked about it, and the receptionist looked nervous. "There's no room 12, he said. "There never has been." He offered a refund. I didn't take it. I just wanted to get as far away from that lodge as possible. To this day, I have no idea who called me, or why they whispered my room number like they were inside. I've heard people say that hotels are liminal spaces, temporary, surreal, in between. Maybe that's why strange things happen there. Or maybe it's simpler than that. People bring energy with them. Trauma, secrets, intent. And sometimes, hotels soak that energy up like sponges. The stories I just told you, they weren't urban legends. They weren't passed down to me or made up for views. These happened. To me, to my friends, in real places you can look up right now. So next time you check into a hotel, look behind the mirror. Listen to the hallway at 3 a.m. And if your room phone rings in the middle of the night, don't pick it up.